Alright guys, so I thought I'd do a quick kind of impressions on the new F1 cars in AMS2. I've done literally maybe 3 or 4 laps earlier in the week. Haven't really given it much thought or time or anything since. So what I'll do, I'm gonna do a couple of laps in AMS2 in these 2022 F1 cars, and then I'll jump into Assetto Corsa and run the RSS version of the F122 car. Now bear in mind that particular version is it's not new, it's out a while actually, and I believe they may be looking to bring out an updated version, I think. Don't quote me on that, but I just think I read it somewhere. But yeah, let's just go. I've little, if any, practice in this car, so this will be kind of just a raw impression, I guess. I don't even know if I have stuff mapped, or well, I did map the other day, but I can't remember what the DRS and stuff was. I think it was the top paddle. Okay, let's go and see what this is like. Yeah, so I haven't done any practice or warm-up before jumping onto this video, so this is kind of pretty raw, I guess, raw impressions, which is the idea really. And what I think of these cars, how they handle, how I think they should handle it. I've never driven one in real life, obviously. But yeah, first impression's quite good. Feels nice to drive, you know. Feels a bit forgiving over the curbs. Just change that to attack mode. I don't know what difference, if any, it will give. DRS is open. Yeah, I'll just do 2 laps or so and kind of speak to my impressions really. I'm not a polished driver in this car at all, so taking my ability here and my driving with a pinch of salt. This is purely going to be talking about impression on the handling model really. It does feel fun, it does feel nice. Plenty of grip, plenty of downforce. Feel like a good weight through the steering wheel as the downforce builds, which is nice. It's a little bit forgiving over bumps, but I'm comparing it to ACC where the bumps are quite aggressive right now. If you're watching the Imola race today, you would have seen some of the cars taking the chicane kind of generous amounts of curb, and you know, wasn't unsettled too much. And even GT3 cars in real life take generous amounts of curb, and they're not too unsettled. I think sometimes ACC can be a bit overly aggressive with how the cars interact with curbs, but anyway. Just finish off this one lap. Yeah, the front end seems to have almost an infinite amount of grip, you know, in many respects. just went a little bit too hot in there. But yeah, the front end seems to bite a lot, and it's nearly impossible to wash the front end out once you're above a certain speed. And I don't know if that's just because there's so much downforce on the front. It certainly feels that way. I mean, even here, like I'm almost purposely trying to understeer the front of it with excess steering lock, and it's just gripping. And I'm not sure if that's entirely realistic or not. Maybe it is. I don't know. We'll try it again here. Exaggerate the lock. Yeah, the front is just. I'll do it again into this corner. I'll just really exaggerate the lock. Yeah, okay, we'll leave it there. Basically, let's just pull up the replay. Where we replay. Basically, what I'm finding is that I mean, it's fun to drive. I think it's somewhat forgiving. It makes it enjoyable. You know, you can push, and it feels like there's a lot of grip, and you can feel the weight of the steering kind of increase with the downforce. So it's quite enjoyable in that sense. It's relatively well behaved, no surprises. Like I say, the curb interaction feels a bit maybe easy, or not punishing enough to sloppy curb behaviour. And I think I get the impression that the front end is too strong on the car, to be perfectly honest. It's almost like you can put ridiculous amounts of steering lock on and it will just grip. There's no like washing of the front end with understeer. But whatever, you know, it is what it is. It's still like I say, it's still a fun car to drive. I think it would be good in the league. I think that it does have the hyper feel that a Formula 1 car would and should have, but it also gives it to you in such a way that it's forgiving enough, I think, for even new people to pick up. I done a bit of a league in Assetto Corsa in the F1 2019 models from RSS, and they're much more difficult to drive. You know, they still have a lot of grip, but they're harder to drive. You can manipulate understeer, oversteer. You have to be gentle with the throttle, and you know, they're a hyper kind of performance car, but you do have to be kind of switched on driving them. Now that's the 2021 model. I'm going to jump and try the 22 model, which I have not driven in a long time. So I'm going to jump out of this. Now I'm going to keep the recording going here. If it stops, I'll upload these as two separate videos, but let's see, will it keep playing? And hopefully it does. But yeah, let's jump into Content Manager, and I'm just going to load up the Assetto Corsa Final Lap profile here as well. So I do run different profiles game to game. Just, you know, every game is slightly different with the force speed. Like, yeah. So I had this ready to go before just starting AMS2. So this will just be a practice session at Imola again. And the profile. Yeah, let's just go. I think that's the profile. So let's just go to drive. Yeah, so comparison, I guess, between the AMS2 version and then Assetto Corsa's version using the RSS mod. Yeah, I'll just leave everything as it is, and we'll just jump straight into drive. Okay, let's go for it. Okay, so there's a lot more understeer initially. Now Now I do feel the weight of the steering kind of picking up with speed here. It's a lot lighter once the speed is taken off the car. Maybe a bit too light. Wow. Okay, so that's what I was talking about in terms of having to be switched on driving this car. Let me just change the tyres to the softs actually, and yeah, let's give this another go. But yeah, I think jumping out of AMS2 where you can be a bit more relaxed, you cannot be as relaxed in Assetto Corsa in this car. You have to be kind of awake. Sounds nice, looks good. Yeah, this is much more temperamental over the curbs and that sort of thing. You cannot be as reckless with it. Bit of understeer there just as I get the thing turned in. It's more dynamic, it takes more work for sure. This is not as certainly not as easy to drive, and as I'm driving here, my brain is fully switched on. I cannot just slam on the throttle. I'm being purposely careful, and arguably I'm going a little bit slow here, just to not screw anything up, because the car does give the impression that, you know, if you abuse it, it will try to loop around on you. Bit of understeer there, which is why you'd expect I kind of braked and kind of just chucked it in. Yeah, there's that snappiness if you're a bit careless over curbs. It does mean you can kind of rotate slightly on throttle. You can definitely feel this more as a car. What I mean by that, anyone that does sim racing, which obviously you're watching this video so you do, you'll know what I mean. Like when you're driving a car on most sim racing titles, like whether it's GT3 cars or whatever, you have that weight balance to manage, and I don't find that in AMS2 because the car is just overdone with downforce, I think. Where in AC here, like I am still driving a car. I can feel it, I can feel the weight moving around, I can feel the car getting unhappy in certain circumstances. I just have to be more in tune. It's like you're driving a car, it's a hypercar and everything happens at hyper speed, but it's still a car. And I think that's the challenge of it as a driver, is trying to keep a step ahead of the car itself. I'll have to make a quick edit to the tyre graining. I think it's happening too quick. Great thing with the Assetto Corsa mods that the user has control over that. We'll just do a bit more of this lap and then we'll call it a day and have a look and try and dissect kind of my thoughts on the car. But this is a lot of fun. This is a lot of fun. So obviously you're looking at this and you can see kind of that I'm kind of hard at work, and the margin for error is a lot smaller compared to AMS, that's for damn sure. Now, with that comes the added problem, I guess, that you know, if you're gonna do a league, and there you can see onto the Astro, a bit of a lockup. But if you're going to do a league in these cars, you'll have to be aware that you may want to allow certain assists to be turned on. Now I have the assists turned off. There we lock up just to show people the flat spotting. There you can see the flat spot, and yeah, I've obviously got the tyre damage turned up too much. But anyway, enough of that. Let's look at the replay. So yeah, with this car, it's way more engaging to drive. It's a car, right? So you've got a lot of downforce, you've got all that hyper braking, the hyper acceleration, similar to what you expect, I guess, from an F1 car. You cannot step on the throttle as easy as AMS. The braking kind of is similar. I think the wheels can lock up similar on both games. This game is a bit more temperamental when you're approaching curbs. If you're on an exit and you put a wheel onto the AstroTurf on the outside of a curb, like we seen a moment ago, yeah, I mean, there's no grip there, or certainly a lot less than tarmac. So you do get you do either go around if you're careless, or you try to feed in the throttle like I've been doing on these laps. And you can see the car it's still bouncing, it's still interacting with the curbs and stuff. But yeah, it's behaving in a more, I guess, predictable way. And you can see there that bit of understeer on certain corners, the car is just washing wide a little bit. So it's behaving exactly as I'd expect a car to behave, an F1 car. Now obviously I haven't done any setup work on this, so what you see is what you get, really. If we did a bit of setup work, maybe we'd have a different outcome. I don't know. But yeah, you can see there the snappiness, the quick corrections that you need to make if you hit the curbing. Let me just go back a little bit just to kind of have a look at that from a different angle. So there was the snap correction was around here. Let's just slow that down a bit. Yeah, so you can see that it's it's engaging in that sense that you have to be kind of a step ahead of the car, or well, at least try to be. At least try to be. And I think this is one of the reasons why you don't see these in leagues too much, is because they do have an inherent difficulty. You have to be kind of a bit more, I won't say advanced, because I don't want to sound elitist or anything like that. I mean, I spun this after 3 or 4 laps. I'm not saying I'm not a F1 car god on ACE or anything like that, but it's a different type of race you're going to have. It's going to be, I'm guessing most of us drive GT3 or LMP cars in our circuit racing. In these, everything is the same, but hyper. You've got hyper grip, hyper power, hyper brakes. And things can sometimes happen so quick, you have to think ahead of the car. Now, you do get used to it after a while, like when I was racing in the league using the F1 21 cars. I did get used to it, and after 20 minutes or 30 minutes of acclimatizing, everything was normal. And then when I went back to ACC, everything felt like slow motion. So it's all relative. It's all relative, but it's just something to bear in mind, that when you're driving these, it's very challenging, less forgiving, definitely less forgiving. To catch a slide, you have to be a lot sharper, a lot quicker, and then if it goes against you, the chances are you're going to have a bigger accident because of the speed. Where driving a GT3 car or something like that in ACC, you miss a braking zone, you've got the ABS to collect you, you get onto the throttle too quickly, the TC will kick in. ACC is still tough in the sense that if you overdrive it, the lap time just dives away from you. But where with this, it's more like the lap time will be given by the car, but your challenge as a driver is to stay alive. But yeah, that's my impressions of both of them. I think AMS2 is good for a more forgiving F1 experience. Still a very good experience. This is definitely more challenging on the driver, that's for sure. which is better? I don't know. I think AC has more choice, more tracks. They've got a catalogue of all F1 cars. The AMS one is also very good. They just drive differently. So yeah, make your own mind up. Leave it there, guys. Thanks for watching.